Dafna, I would like to thank you once again for coming here and giving us such a lovely presentation.
Thank you.
I love your approach in AI, in entrepreneurship. I would like to first ask you, what challenges did you find, not only in academia, but also through your research? How did AI pose a challenge to you, how to use it, how to adapt it, and how your colleagues viewed it, and how they view it now that you presented your work? Like, did their perspective change? Will they now maybe consider AI in their own research? How do you think about that?
Yeah, okay. So this is a very good question. Questions. AI just burst into our minds and approaches and world. I would say very suddenly. I mean, we knew about the generative AI, but we didn't know that we are going to use it because it was always for computer science and technology. And suddenly it's here, it's there, and we use it. So the first thing that I felt, even personally, but mostly from my students and my colleagues, is a fear, a bit, a feeling of risk, taking risk. We don't want to take any risk. It's too disruptive. We don't want it, and so people would avoid to use it. I started to use it. I come from an engineering background. My PhD is in industrial engineering, so I am more. I would say I jump into technology, and I pursue technology, and I like it. And it was the first time in my life as an adult that I felt that I'm much more proficient in technology than my students or my own kids. Because, Facebook and then everything, they are much more proficient than we are as adults. But at the moment, I was the authority for AI, and I was the one teaching my students and my colleagues about AI. So first, concerning your question, first, everybody was a bit doubtful, as you could hear here. Maybe we cannot trust it, maybe it's biased. And then I said, but if it's big data, which means millions and millions and millions of people say something, then probably at least all these millions and millions think so. So I don't know what type of bias could it be if everybody thinks so. Maybe we think wrongly, but everybody thinks so. So maybe this is not green, but everybody thinks it's green. So we have to maybe debate about that philosophically, but in terms of facts, this is green. And so it took me time, and I started to work on research with AI. With some colleagues. Interestingly, when I introduced research with AI, my colleagues were very supportive, and they wanted to engage with AI, but editors and reviewers in journals were not supportive. So so they don't want to take any risk in their own journals. They don't care if it's in a different journal, but they don't want to take risk in their own journal. So we experienced lots of questions, comments, rejections of papers and so forth. And then last month we were at the Academy of Management conference, which is the biggest conference in entrepreneurship and management and business and so forth, and everybody was speaking about AI. So I think that the door is open now. Step by step, and it's open now. And I think that something about the approach is a bit changed. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So you showed us many tools that not only entrepreneurs can use, but also the academics can use in their own research. I have one simple question. So for a starting up entrepreneur, so a young person who is starting up and maybe is a bit of an introvert, starting to develop new skills, maybe those kinds of platforms are kind of useful for testing.
Right.
So they can talk to those artificial intelligent avatars and maybe have some feedback on how meetings usually go and develop their own skills in the subject. So in your point of view, it's very, very important to have these tools available to the new entrepreneurs. Maybe.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that these tools are not only for research, but really for teaching. They could be applied in accelerators, not even specifically in class, but also, non-academic accelerators, and even venture capitals. When they want to support entrepreneurs, they can also bring to them, because it's not only in this specific avatar that I showed is developed for the pitch meeting, but we can develop different scenarios. Exactly. A scenario in which you want to develop a concept and you want to consult with someone about developing a concept, or even the quest of failure. Many entrepreneurs, young people especially, they don't like to fail. Nobody likes to fail, of course, but the younger ones, they have been raised in a context in which parents were bringing everything and they don't fail, and they are in a very enriched and empowered context. And once they feel for the first time that they failed because the idea didn't work out, because they didn't get any money, because the investor was not supportive, suddenly they are not equipped with the right, I would say, strategies and approaches and mindsets even to tackle it. So we are interested in developing different scenarios and different AI simulations. So in many aspects of the entrepreneurial journey, you will have a kind of a library in which you will say, okay, I want this one, and I'm trying to to practice it and see where I am better or worse. And especially when we have developed our simulation in a way that you get the feedback, which is amazing. As you saw, you get feedback on how exactly did you perform this time, and what is the value of your proposition, of your business, and if I was a real investor and not a bot, would I invest in you, and what is your scores and so forth, and you can learn from it a lot. So yes, I think it's very important, and in my opinion, I think that in the next 10 years, maybe even less, 5, we will see more and more simulators as such in our academic world, but also, as I said, in accelerators and so forth, because it's much better than a person that is teaching you, because in one point, we always say that in one pushing one button, then many people can simulate at the same time. And the interesting thing is, like the ChatGPT, if you and I and everybody else ask the same question at the same time, the ChatGPT, you get different answers.
Yes.
Okay, so this happens as well with the bot. So different people will get different answers, and they will be able in the next time to get again different responses and feedbacks, and they will practice themselves. And for us as researchers, it's very important to detect exactly what's better, where are the weaknesses, where are the strengths, what should we do in order to enable more or empower more, and equip the students with more strategies and tools.
Yes. About teaching, we do have professors and teachers and investigators. However, they are human. Humans tend to have their own biased ideas. Sometimes it interferes with their work, whether they like it or not, whether they want it or not. It eventually leads up to having some political input, some social input, and so on. What is great about artificial intelligence is that they agglomerate all the knowledge that we put into it and just give us an unbiased idea. So, for example, ChatGPT, you can ask something about the subject, and it says, well, we have 2 perspectives on this, and this. Which one do you prefer?
Right.
And it gives us the choice to pick, and then later on through the questions, it already knows our own background and our own perspective, and it gives us the answers that we want to hear.
Right.
And it's really interesting, because maybe it can be something that a bit more reliable than human inputs,
Right.
because it will always have something biased put
Right.
into it, whilst the machine will just give us a straightforward answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, the ChatGPT is also a bit biased, but not as a human. As I showed you, I mean, I was asking not the chat, but I was asking another platform, the Midjourney AI, for a picture of a startup. And I got a picture with 3 men, white, young, very handsome men. So it is biased,
Yes.
of course. So there are some biases as well, but I completely agree that the human biases, especially because we are not necessarily conscious about that. So sometimes I'm biased and I don't know that I'm biased. So I would treat my students or my entrepreneurs in a different way, just because I assume that they probably know it already, or that they probably come from a family that already taught them. And it's not necessarily true. Now the ChatGPT starts from the ground. You ask questions, the chat answers. It doesn't ask you, oh, are you coming from a family business and you probably know that? No. So in this case, yes, it's I would say in a way safer to get practice from the AI. But again, I always say to my colleagues and of course to my students and entrepreneurs, be careful. I mean, see if it makes sense, and see if there are not, like huge mistakes. Usually what we tend to say that in a generative AI, the mistakes are in the micro level. So, for example, if they want to imitate you or me, it will be mistaken. But on a global level, the ChatGPT or the generated information is more accurate. But we still need to make sure that it's true. There are many funny stories about, including in research, about the chat inventing many things. Now, it doesn't really invent, but it combines different parts of information, and then on an individual level or one research, then you get something that doesn't exist. On a global or broader level, then yes, you have many, research about crises, about entrepreneurship and so forth, and it is more accurate. So we still, I think, have the advantage over the ChatGPT in a common sense, which is human, still human.
Yeah.
But the scary or encouraging thing, I don't know, there are 2 perspectives, is that the ChatGPT or any other one, the AI has now even emotional characteristics. So, for example, our bot, both of them, there is a man and a woman, they have emotional characteristics because we developed these emotional characteristics. We just wrote on a prompt and we provided some models on emotions, and it understands that. And once the bot is speaking to you, it is emotional. And we can also, write a prompt, be more sensitive. So it will say, Sophie, how are you? I'm very happy to so you can really develop a type or a personality that is more emotional. So at the moment, I think that we human beings are more emotional, intelligent than the than the AI. But I'm not sure that it will last.
With the kind of input that we put into it.
Right.
Yeah. My other question is, and my final one is, you talked about how AI showcased this image of white men, as the idea of ideal entrepreneurship. My thoughts on this is, what do you think about the role of women in entrepreneurship, the challenges that it imposed still to this day, especially on ultra-peripheric regions and ultra-peripheric regions, as Professor David put it, such as Israel? Do they still have the challenges? Do they still have, a difficulty to stand out and to actually make the work basically more, as important as their male co-partners? Are there still challenges out there? How did we manage to be at a place where we can be out here and showcase our ideas and be credible?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. I'm also expert in female entrepreneurship. So this is one of my expertise. I have I wrote several books, but one of them is on female entrepreneurship. And there I'm focusing on the challenges of female entrepreneurs. And this is not by accident that the ChatGPT or whatever the other AI platform has depicted a startup only by showing white, young, handsome men. Because first of all, statistically, we don't have much women entrepreneurs in the tech industry. In entrepreneurship, but in the tech industry, we do have women entrepreneurs in other, I would say, more traditional entrepreneurial businesses like manicure and other, and also professional ones like more in even lawyers that would open their own businesses, or psychologists and so forth. But in the tech, even though it's really funny, because in the universities, when you look statistically all over the world, the percentages of women and men in the tech, at least in terms of graduating, is half. So yes, more men are attracted to technologies in the universities, but they drop out. And women and men, once graduating, they are half. So it means they are similar. Still, we see women going to another direction, and men are going to tech entrepreneurship. So women are not there, and there are many reasons for that. They find it very challenging to attract interest in them, to attract funds, to attract support. And there is also the challenge of finding a role model, because most of there are very limited numbers of role models, women. So okay, Oprah Winfrey, okay, she's a role model, but I know I can't be like Oprah. There are some others, but there are very few of them, and if I don't feel that I have some similarities, then I won't, be engaged in that. And so role models is very important. Now there are many programs around the world in different ecosystems, specifically for women. Here too, there are some feedback, different types of feedback about them, about those programs. Some would say that this is very important for women to be more empowered, but the others would say, okay, you kind of cluster or nest women as a different group. Now all women are, nested as a different group, and now it will be forever. If we understand that they are different, then they are different. So, and maybe it would be better to mix all of them together. So I think that our challenge as professors, people in the academia, people that are really caring about the ecosystem, is to how to attract more women that want to become tech entrepreneurs, to really, get into this direction, not be so hesitant. I have interviewed many women that were very, very good in tech, and I asked them, why aren't you going to a tech career? And they tended to tell me, I'm not so good. And I asked them, how come? When I ask men, they would never tell me that they are not so good. They would tell me, I'm not so good, but I'm learning. Why don't you say that? I'm asking women. And they said, look, I'll take my time and we learn and we learn and we learn, and then I'll see. But the more you learn, time passes. Men at the same time are already developing themselves. They have their own startups. So, you just, you open a gap. And then, family matters and other issues. And we see less and less women in the tech industry. So this is our challenge, to see how we attract them, because once we used to say they don't go to the university to technology, so this is the reason, but now we say that's not true. So we need to see how do we really attract them if they want to be there. And finally, one of the things that women tend to say is that there is brotherhood of men in the tech entrepreneurship industry. And for example, and there are many research studies about that from the Babson College in Boston. For example, men after work, they tend to go to bars or something just for a drink. And even if it's not formal, it's just, chatting, they craft some agreements there, not for a bad purpose, but they're already there, so they say, oh, you have that and I have that, and let's do something. And women are absent there. They go back home, they're not there, and once they get back to work, everything is already done informally. So we need to see how we can maybe create or enable women to make, either to mingle there, or to make something that is parallel and to enable them to shine if they really want and are interested in tech industry.
I saw this small research about Google, one of the biggest companies out there, they do have a lot of, they invest a lot in human resources. So the people who work there usually have their own fun room, their own mobility. Google pays their own bus to go back home, their own cars if they would like, make work more accessible. They are the people who have less work hours, but are the people who work the most.
Right.
So, but at the same time, the workers from Google are showed to be the ones to give up more rapidly than the others.
Okay.
So, my question here is, what is the case about that? Is there anything that, your own opinion on the issue, is there anything relevant on it? What is the issue here that imposes? Google also has some female entrepreneurs there and some in the field of technology as well. So they are oftentimes complemented by it. But I think that if we complement a corporation by just the simple fact of employing women, we are just applauding the fact that you're doing something normal. You're just employing people who are great at their job, regardless if they're men or women. Being applauded by hiring women shouldn't be really something really great. So you're just employing professionals.
Yeah.
So what's your take on it?
I think that, you're right. And sometimes we praise something that should be natural. And once praising something that is natural, we kind of enhance the problem here. Because, people would say, oh, this is different. And hey, those women made it. But of course they made it. Why not? I mean, like men, they made it. So this is something that we don't have to applaud, something that is normal or should be normal and natural. At the same time, I completely understand any type of success, because if women entrepreneurs or women in the tech are absent and suddenly we see a rise of women participation, that this is something that we are happy to see. And we want to praise it. So it's a very delicate issue here, and we need to understand how do we do it. But coming back to what we just discussed, I think that maybe more than just applauding those women or those companies that are really attracting women in the tech, maybe those women should be the role models. And once they are role models, maybe it will really kind of echo to the others. We can do it, and it's natural, and if you are good, you are good, and maybe this is the way to tackle it.
Exactly. It's just like Marie Curie when she was nominated for a Nobel Prize, and it wasn't the scientific community that was applauded, it was the woman itself who was applauded. So there was this distinction of the organization and the woman. We applauded the woman, not the organization, for making her this outstanding figure. She was the outstanding figure herself.
Yeah. Right.
So we should do that to the new female entrepreneurs that are rising.
Yeah.
Just complement the work, trying to help out, do anything for them to stand out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you so much once again for coming
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you so much for your input. I hope I didn't bother you so much
No,
with my
no, it was
my
very,
question.
very interesting. Thank you very much.